Ready when you guys are.
All right. Okay. Let's roll. I'd like to call this meeting of the Madison Public Schools Finance Committee to order. It is 5:35. And we have an update on this year's budget. I think that's our first and only agenda item. And we've got some revisions from the last meeting to cover a potential shortfall. And we have a worksheet which I suppose will be posted online. So with that, Dr. Cook, do you want to start? Or?
Yes, thank you. So as you can imagine, we've been working really closely with this. Stacy and I talk pretty much every other day about where things stand this time of the year. We have continued to have in place basically a soft freeze with the schools, so they're able to buy things that they need, from things that are really inexpensive to the more expensive stuff that they need, but it's just being reviewed by Stacy and I to make sure we're in a good place. So we do have some relatively good news, and updated information. So Stacy has a sheet that she's gonna.
Sheet to walk you through.
Yeah, can I intervene just to, so last time we met, we had a potential shortfall. We had $360,000 available, projected funds. We had a potential shortfall because of snow removal over time, special ed, that amounted to 440,000. Right?
Yes.
With a projected shortfall of 80,000, and now we've been able to withhold, squeeze, delay, find savings. Thanks to your magic. And then we
Sharpen pencils, just kind of like really look at where students are, we encumber throughout the rest of the year, and I know we had like one student have a different assignment placement and things like that, so we're kind of watching those special ed outplacements very closely.
So just provide context for where we're at.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're continuing, always the HR budget is where, majority of our budget lays, so we're continuing to comb through those accounts where we have some absences without pay, and we kind of, do some line transfers between, and that number actually we talked about on March 10th, about 250,000 available. We're looking at a revised number after doing a line transfer that will be approved tonight, that we're at about 239,000, but that is also line item transferring 80,000 from that account down to special ed. So we've had a little bit more that we found in the HR budget, about $70,000, and then we're line transferring 80,000 out tonight to get us to about 240 to our final projections, where we're looking tonight to help us cover shortfalls. So that number will continue to be massaged as we go through the weekly payrolls. We're constantly looking at that. We also revised from last year about $40,000 in our workers' comp budget. So we budgeted last year based on an increase that we were told from KRMA. And based on experience, our bills came in a little bit lower, so we did find an extra $40,000 in that line item, and that will also be part of the line item transfer to help with shortages. That will be hopefully approved tonight. Tuition payments, so we've gotten pretty, I don't know the term, not aggressive, but we've been on top of we changed our fee structure. We're now online. People can pay, much more structured. For the preschool, the typical peers that are in there. So we're looking at, we budget about $70,000. We're looking at, as of right now, and this is not projected through the end of the year, but we're looking at, we found about $30,000 over what we budgeted for the 70,000. So that's going to help us as well. School choice, we found another $40,000 where we are right now. Gail was graciously offering $40,000 as of right now. Things change. That number could be modified a little bit, but that's what we're looking at in excess over.
Basically, right, I think school outside. Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
yeah,
no,
you know the rationale behind all that. I know the lines of the numbers, but yes.
They're playing the color.
Yeah.
I would love to color from.
Library books, so we had some money there, we did encumber, we were about to make some purchases and we said, hang on with this soft freeze, let's hold off. So our hope is to still continue with the purchase of $40,000. But for now, we're froze that money, so that's why you see that as a potential available balance. Utilities, when we talked on March 10th, we were looking at $50,000. We revised that a little bit, and again, those accounts we're continuing to monitor, just like the HR accounts, especially with the unknowns with Neck River. So we're looking at right now, we're going to have about $30,000 that could help with any shortfall. Legal, we had said $20,000 at our last meeting. We're looking to use that in the line transfer tonight.
Contribute that to those.
Yes.
Reduction of
Yes.
legal.
Yes. So, yes, we'll give all the credit to Zoe for that, yes.
The other piece of it too is that we didn't have negotiations this year.
Right.
We will have negotiations for administrators next year, but it is true, I think we apply a lot of the learnings that we have from policy and other things, to that, to avoid all attorneys when we can, and knock on wood, have been fortunate with other issues and not have to be calling attorneys,
So that will be part of the line transfer, we're kind of grabbing that before Zoe changes her mind. So fast, right? And then the other new item that you'll see is we estimated last time about 40,000 for the buildings. I keep rerunning reports every day. I bumped that up a little bit to 75,000, and that is because of the soft freeze. If we decide that numbers are looking a little bit better, I think we may loosen the reins on that a little bit. But we continue or watching, like Dr. Cook said, we're getting emails constantly and we're releasing funds as the needs come about, but we're looking at approximately 75,000 between all the many accounts in all of the buildings. So. And that 75 really is looking at where we are now as well as historical balances, so we're gonna continue to monitor that, every other day. So potential available funds based on all of that, we're looking at about 450,000. Moving down the line, you'll see a line transfer tonight of 40,000 from what we mentioned, out of the projected available funds for athletics. And this is something that we're still paying for transportation, and however, the enrollment is down, but we still have the same amount of buses that are running. So we figured let's move the money over there to cover any potential deficit. And again, we'll continue to monitor it. If it changes, we can kind of move things around, but that's what we're looking at through the end of the fiscal year that we'll need to stay whole for the athletic programs.
That typically doesn't get better as transfer athletics.
Yeah.
Typically gets worse. We might have a coach that we didn't hire or something like that, but I think we're fully staffed for the spring, and with our teams typically playing late into the season into the playoffs, that adds more transportation, and we have a good number of students out for sports, but just it's not bringing as much in paper like it used to.
Which is a good thing because we're moving forward.
Right.
And I can say that the revenue, I think, is pretty much as a halt now, because I think we've received everything for the spring, through the end of the school year already. So I think that was a safe amount to move over to athletics, but again, we'll continue to monitor that. Special ed, when we talked in March, we were looking at a deficit of 245. We had a couple of changes. So we're continuing to try to get that deficit down. Part of the line item transfer tonight will bring us down to a projected deficit of still $178,000. What we know right now.
Right.
If that could change. As well. the Polson septic system, and you know more details than I do. This is something that we keep talking about, something that we really need to do. So we wanted to make sure that it was on the list and everyone knew that this was something coming up. I don't know.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So most of the school is tied into the treatment facility for Daniel Hand. The front area of the building and the oldest part of the building, like the main office area, has an older system and they need to replace that as soon as possible. So Bennett looked at doing that for April break, but he wasn't sure if it done in time, so obviously we pushed that off to summer, so we will get that done this summer. It'll have to get done out of either planned cycle maintenance or hopefully these end of the year funds.
Well, a lot of work in Folsom.
Unbelievable, yeah, we're really excited to share with you guys in the next meeting, what's happening, because they've already done so much work already, and so much work to done.
Okay, and then the next two line items are as a result of our wonderful winter that we had. We're still trying to cover it, the deficit of. We're at 155, based on where the numbers are now, our hopes are that we can do some line item transfers, but. We're trying to move a little bit further through the month to make sure that we can. Cover that, but that is where we're looking at right now as far as the deficit over what was budgeted between overtime. As well as outside services, plowing and any repairs related to the storms that we have. So looking at all of that, looking at our projected available funds and these projected deficits. We have a positive number right now, which is much better than where we were in March.
Yes. That might be about the tightest end of year projection I've seen.
At this time of the year,
This time
right?
of year, yeah.
Yeah, at this time, the one thing that is not on the sheet, and I know I emailed, Dr. Cook last night, is we're looking at the projections of payroll taxes. I know it's not a fancy word, but because of the salaries in the HR, we should have some savings in payroll taxes as well, which will only improve this number. And that will be updated next time.
I think what the administration and finance is amazing, so thank you for. Going through that, I mean, it's pretty. It is line by line, see where it saves. Emily, do you have any comments or questions?
No, so it looks like in terms of like, or what we need to do for taking action, that's included in the line item transfers tonight. So that'll move this through for you.
Yeah, so tonight you're gonna see this column for the line item transfers that I talked about. There's also another line item transfer that was happening before you got the report on March 10th. So you're gonna see two kind of in there tonight, but the other line item transfer, we had already assumed that when we reported to you on March 10th. So you will see a little bit more than
Yeah.
what you see there, but.
Yeah.
Great.
Great. Dr. Cook, is there anything else?
No, just as you, both thanks Stacy, I would thank Stacy as well for tirelessly working on this and being in touch with the buildings and being open to get emails about, can we order wipes for the Promethean boards, things like that, versus, not having to face that. So a lot going on, but appreciate her support. It's been.
Are there any questions on that, Phil? All right, well, we wrap it up at 5:50. Thank you.
Thanks.